Let's consult the architect. This video is a brief review of Chapter 1 of Chuck Swindoll's book, Strike the Original Match. The first chapter is Let's Consult the Architect. Can you imagine building a home without an architect's carefully drawn plans? The kitchen sink might end up in the dining room. And the living room would probably have the washer and dryer connections sticking out of the fireplace. And who knows about the wiring? Flip the light switch on in the master bedroom, and the oven would start to preheat. Not the kind of place where you would want to spend the rest of your life. No reasonable person would think of building a home without the carefully drawn plans of an architect. And yet people regularly attempt to build their marriages without consulting the master architect of that divine institution. We rely instead on this sketchy blueprint we receive from our parents or our friends in the world around us. The result is two people under the same roof hammering away to build a model marriage based on two different sets of plans. Sound confusing? It is. That's why so many couples end up with such poor constructed marriages. Take a closer look, and you'll see that their love has faded, their commitment is crumbling, the communication is wired all wrong, the foundation is cracked, and the roof sagging and about to cave in. Not the kind of marriage where people would want to spend the rest of their lives. And so many don't. They choose instead to have their marriages condemned and bulldozed under. Don't let anyone fool you, though. Divorce is painful, humiliating, a nightmare. But so is living a neglected, poorly designed marriage. What can we do? Let's consult the master architect's original plan for marriage in Genesis 2, verses 18 through 29. Please read this on your own, and I will highlight a couple of passages, especially verses 18. Then the Lord said, "It is not good for the man to be alone." And in verses 24 and 25, "For this cause a man shall leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked, and were not ashamed." Cleave means to glue, or to glue oneself. From this verse, we see that the husband and wife are to be bonded together permanently. Also, the one flesh relationship that results from the safety of this stability refers not only to sexual intimacy, but also to a transparent and non-threatening intimacy in every other area of relationships. This is the kind of openness depicted in the phrase, naked and not ashamed. Let's now turn to Proverbs 24, verses 3 and 4. Solomon tells us that a strong marriage is built on the bedrock of wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. Quote, "By wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established, and by knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches." Notice the three verbs that are used: built, established, and filled. The words that, on close inspection, describes the action of building and even remodeling a home. Put all three together, and it is clear that it is possible for poorly designed and constructed marriages to be restored and to be made to flourish, to be set right and stabilized, and to be overflowing with precious and pleasant riches. Now, riches do not refer to tangible possessions, but the essential things that make life full and meaningful, like good attitudes, good relationships, pleasant memories, mutual respect, depth of character. To achieve such a radical renovation of our marriages, Solomon says we need three essential tools. First is wisdom, seeing with discernment. Second is understanding, responding with insight. Third is knowledge, which means learning with perception. This involves having a teachable spirit, a willingness to hear and to learn. Solomon reminds us in Psalm 127, our labor is futile, quote, unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it. Unless the Lord guard the city, the watchman keeps wake in vain. Here are a few tips that we can take with us and apply. First, the time to start is now. Remodeling your marriage isn't a project for when the kids come or after they're gone. The time is now. No longer you put it off, the more costly repairs will become. Second, the method to follow is God's. Don't keep relying on old patterns of marriage that you picked up in the past. Follow His instructions instead. The third, the person to change is you, not your mate. Most of us don't have to imagine how dysfunctional a marriage can be when it is built according to our own designs instead of God's. We know it feels, oftentimes, as if the kitchen sink is in the middle of the dining room. Instead of rearranging the furniture, why not consult the architect and rebuild a whole new relationship, one where you'll want to spend the rest of your life? As we contemplate remodeling, the first thing we should do is a walk through our marriage and appraise the areas where we need the most work. Spend some time in quiet prayer and meditation, asking God for His help in identifying what attitudes and practices need to be renovated or replaced. Are there some walls you've built up that need to be torn down? Have you nailed any doors shut that need opening? What particular sinful response or habits are causing cracks in the foundation? As thoughts come to your mind, please write these down in your journal. And now I conclude with this quote. Marriage is not so much finding the right person as it is being the right person. This is a quote from Charles Shedd. This concludes our first chapter. Have a blessed day.